A boy named Ira loved playing a dark fantasy strategy game called Eternal Nations. Even while staying in the hospital, he kept playing on his computer. One day, while playing as usual, his body suddenly felt heavy. Everything around him went dark and he felt like he was sinking deep underwater. When he finally opened his eyes, Ira found himself in a cold, cloudy forest. He was sitting on a stone throne. The air was fresh and everything looked real. Before he could figure out what was going on, a woman stepped out from the shadows and spoke to him kindly, like she'd been waiting. Ira recognized her right away. She was Odi Noah too, a beautiful elf from the game, his favorite character. She looked just like she did in Eternal Nations, and she called him my king. It seemed like he had somehow been transported into the game world. Onai smiled and told him not to worry. She called him by name and said she remembered all the things they had done together in the game. Ira had once beaten the hardest level using the most difficult civilization, Minagra, which was known for being dark and cursed. Because of that, he had become one of the top players in the world. Odi had always been his main companion in the game, and now she saw him as her real king. Hearing this made Ira emotional. He was touched to finally speak with his favorite character face to face. He asked if he had died and gone to heaven, or if she had brought him here. But Odi shook her head. She said she had simply appeared here too. It didn't feel like paradise to her. It felt more like the actual game world of Eternal Nations. She believed it was a miracle to meet her king in person. Then she knelt down in front of him and said she wanted to help him rebuild Minagra from the ground up. Ira was still unsure of what was going on, but he decided to accept her help. He called Odi his first and most trusted companion. Odi introduced herself again, saying in a serious voice that she was born from the mud and destined to bring destruction to the world, and now she belonged only to him. Ira cringed a little. It was strange hearing such dramatic words in real life. In the game it had sounded cool, but now it felt awkward. Still, he went along with it and declared that Odi would be his only ally, his right hand, and the first member of his kingdom. Minagra was known as a brutal and cunning civilization, one that used darkness and evil as tools. Their first step would be to go into hiding and gather strength. Ira used emergency magic to summon a scout. A creepy, long-legged insect crawled out of a glowing portal. Both Ira and Odi were grossed out by the bug's appearance, but they knew this was how Minagra worked. Ira ordered the insect to explore the forest without being seen. As it moved away, Ira discovered he could see through its eyes. The spell had cost 100 mana, and he only had 100 mana left. Building a base would take another 20, but he warned him to be careful with how he used his magic. Emergency spells were expensive. Ira admitted he wanted to summon a warrior to protect them, but that would use up all his mana. Odi also wanted to help fight, but she was too weak right now. She explained that she was a hero unit and would get stronger over time, but for now she was even weaker than some basic enemies. That meant they were in serious danger if anything attacked. Ira looked through the scout's eyes and saw nothing but forest. No monsters, no animals, not even any food. Odi also noticed how quiet the forest was. Ira told her that just having her around made him feel calmer, and that simple compliment made her eyes light up with joy. After more searching, the scout spotted something. There was a small village of dark elves not far from their location. Ira explained that dark elves were usually neutral in the game. They could be a little evil, but they weren't always enemies. That was good news. They also confirmed that they really were inside the world of Eternal Nations. But it also meant danger. If there was another group nearby, Ira and Odi had to be very careful. Fighting early in the game was risky. Their best option was to gather information and avoid getting noticed. However, before they could do anything, a group of dark elves appeared near their throne. Earlier that day, these elves had been wandering through the forest looking for a safe place to stay. One of them told their leader, Gia, that they should leave. The forest was cursed, they said, and nothing could survive here. But Gia didn't believe in old legends. He reminded his group that they had been kicked out of their homeland and had nowhere else to go. Their people were starving. The trees here were alive and growing. That meant the land couldn't be dead. Even though he felt nervous, Gia pushed forward. And that's how his group ended up standing in front of Ira and Odi. From the outside, the figure on the throne looked powerful and scary, maybe even evil. Gia was filled with fear. Still, he forced himself to bow and introduced himself as the leader of the Mazarum clan. He apologized for stepping into the forest without permission. But he stayed in her serious role and asked why they had come. Gia explained that his people were refugees and had nowhere else to go. Ira noticed how thin and tired the elves looked. He felt bad for them and gave them apples. The dark elves had never seen fruit like this before. They were so hungry that they quickly started eating. Then Ira opened another portal and handed out more food, pears, bread, vegetables, and grain. Gia was amazed and thanked him again. He asked if he could take some food back to the rest of their group, especially the children. Ira agreed and gave them even more supplies. Gia couldn't believe this kindness. He didn't even know who this stranger was, but he had clearly saved them. Back at their camp, the rest of the Dark Elves were weak and starving. When Gia returned with food, everyone cheered. The children smiled, and the entire camp was filled with joy. When asked how he got so much food, Gia just said he had stumbled upon it. Later that night, the elder, Molter, sat down with Gia by the fire. He told him that in all these years he had never tasted such strange and delicious fruit. He asked Gia what had really happened. Gia told the truth. He had met someone powerful in the forest, someone who gave them food for free. Molter became worried. He remembered an old legend about it being called the Ruin King. This figure was supposed to appear when the world was near collapse and would bring destruction, forcing the world to start over. Molter thought the person Gia met might be the Ruin King. He warned that no one that powerful ever helps without expecting something in return. Gia disagreed. He believed the king had shown them mercy. He even called him his grace. Molter was angry to hear that. He feared Gia had fallen under a spell or been tricked. The two argued, but in the end, they both agreed they needed to protect their people. Molter said he would personally deal with the king if needed. He had lived for over 200 years and believed he could figure things out. Back in the forest, Odi scolded Ira for using up so much mana to feed the elves. They still hadn't built a base or gathered resources. Ira knew she was right, but he said he just couldn't ignore people who were starving. He also admitted that he needed her now more than ever. Odi's tough attitude suddenly faded. She became soft and strangely affectionate. A kind word from her king was enough to make her blush. Ira, meanwhile, felt embarrassed. He said he had trouble talking to people even now. Odi smiled and said she thought he was just acting cool and mysterious on purpose. But Ira admitted that wasn't true. He had always been quiet and shy, even before all this. He wasn't suddenly going to become some confident hero. Still, with Odi by his side, maybe he didn't have to be. That marks the end of today's Animerecap. If you enjoyed the video and want more of it, please support the channel by leaving a like and subscribe. Let's help us reach a current goal of 10K subscribers.